History of watch. The history of watches began in 16th century Europe, where watches evolved from portable spring-driven clocks, which first appeared in the 15th century. The watch was developed by inventors and engineers from the 16th century to the mid-20th century as a mechanical device, powered by winding a mainspring which turned gears and then moved the hands. It kept time with a rotating balance wheel. In the 1960s, the invention of the quartz watch, which ran on electricity and kept time with a vibrating quartz crystal, proved a radical departure for the watchmaking industry. During the 1980s, quartz watches took over the market from mechanical watches, a process referred to as the quartz crisis. Although mechanical watches still sell in the watch market, the vast majority of watches as of 2020 have quartz movements. One account of the origin of the word watch suggests that it came from the Old English word woaki, which meant watchman, because town watchmen used watches to keep track of their shifts. Another theory surmises that the term came from 17th century sailors, who used the new mechanisms to time the length of their shipboard watches, duty shifts. The Oxford English Dictionary records the word watch in association with a timepiece from at least as early as 1542. One clock watch. The first timepieces to be worn, made in the 16th century beginning in the German cities of Nuremberg and Augsburg, were transitional in size between clocks and watches. Portable timepieces were made possible by the invention of the mainspring in the early 15th century. Nuremberg clockmaker Peter Henlein, or Henel or Heel, 1485 to 1542, is often credited as the inventor of the watch. He was one of the first German craftsmen who made clock watches, ornamental timepieces worn as pendants, which were the first timepieces to be worn on the body. His fame is based on a passage by Johann Cock-Claus in 1511. 5. Mass production. At Vacheron Constantin, Geneva, George Auguste Lescot, 1800–1884, pioneered the field of interchangeability in clock making by the invention of various machine tools. In 1830 he designed an anchor escapement, which his student, Antoine Lechaud, later mass-produced. The British had predominated in watch manufacture for much of the 17th and 18th centuries, but maintained a system of production that was geared towards high-quality products for the elite. Although there was an attempt to modernize clock manufacture with mass production techniques and the application of duplicating tools and machinery by the British Watch Company in 1843, it was in the United States that this system took off. Aaron Lufkin Dennison started a factory in 1851 in Massachusetts that used interchangeable parts, and by 1861 was running a successful enterprise incorporated as the Waltham Watch Company. Techniques for adjusting the balance spring for isochronism and positional errors discovered by Abraham Louis Breguet, M. Phillips, and L. Lossier were adopted. The first International Watch Precision Contest took place in 1876, during the International Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia. By 1900, with these advances, the accuracy of quality watches, properly adjusted, topped out at a few seconds per day. The American clock industry, with scores of companies located in Connecticut's Naugatuck Valley, was producing millions of clocks, earning the region the nickname Switzerland of America. The Waterbury Clock Company was one of the largest producers for both domestic sales and export, primarily to Europe. Today its successor, Timex Group USA, Inc. is the only remaining watch company in the region. From about 1860, key winding was replaced by keyless winding, where the watch was wound by turning the crown. The pin pallet escapement, an inexpensive version of the lever escapement invented in 1876 by George Frederick Roscoff, was used in cheap mass-produced watches, which allowed ordinary workers to own a watch for the first time. Other cheap watches used a simplified version of the duplex escapement, developed by Daniel Buck in the 1870s. During the 20th century, the mechanical design of the watch became standardized, and advances were made in materials, tolerances, and production methods.